Hello, everybody. This is Coffee Brown Expat Bound. I am back from France, and I stopped updating for a little bit because I'm so busy every day. And I want to give a little bit of an update of what's going on with me and some last thoughts and impressions. And then over time, and I would say over the next week, I'm gonna start uploading my little videos. And I'm probably, for the sake of time, I'm not gonna do very much editing or adding in. Like originally, I was gonna add in some music and things like that. And then I was just like, no, 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 it's just taking way too much time. Um, excuse me. Before I go any farther, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, help my algorithms, and hit the notification bell so that every time I upload a video, you will get a notification. So, again, I'm back from France. I've actually been back now for a week. Um, right after I got back from France, I was sick. By Saturday, I mean, like, I was feeling a little bit like, let's see. Wednesday, Thursday, I was feeling just a little off because of the time change getting back. Friday, I started feeling like my throat is a little weird. Saturday, I felt like it's a bit weird. And by Sunday, I was just going full blown into coughing fits and hacking and sneezing. And yeah. And I specifically remember there was a woman sitting next to me. I can't remember if it was on a bus or a plane, and she was just hacking and coughing. And I said to myself, whatever she has, I'm gonna get. And sure enough, all the things she was experiencing, like I was experiencing. And I'm just now getting to the end of it, to the point where I can talk a full sentence without having to stop, wheeze, hack, or whatever. And just to get to this video, I had to like go and spend 20 minutes hacking and blowing my nose and getting everything out of my system so that I can make it through this video, and do this. So everything is coming, my impressions. I'm just gonna kind of slap videos together and just toss them out there. Sorry about the upcoming quality of these videos, but I promise they are gonna get better over time as I'm like just starting to learn how to like stitch videos together, how to like do um a talk, to how to talk over the video, et cetera, et cetera, making sure that the sound is not becoming louder than like if I have background music, it's not overcoming my talking. So I'm just going to be working on that over time. I do have one video that I think is going to be very interesting. When I was leaving for France, I thought, oh, they have an Aldi. They have Aldis in France. Now, I had found out, I don't know, I forget how many months ago, that Aldi is actually a German company. I guess Lidl or Lidl, Lidl. They are also a European company that has moved to United States. Um, and my first impression, first time I've ever, and I'm just telling you, just like it is, when I first went to Aldi, it was in the south side of Chicago. And I was just shocked at how Aldi looked. And I was just like, I can never go back to this place again. It was the south side, and it was deep in the south side, and it was just terrible. And I never stepped back into an Aldi until I went to Texas about a year ago to visit my aunt. And I went to the Aldi there because I was just like, well, it's in the area, whatever. And I was like, okay, it's not so bad. Then I didn't go back to an Aldi until a year later I came back from visiting my aunt, and time had gone by, months and months and months. And somewhere around the end of summer, I said, you know what? I found out there's an Aldi around the corner, literally. If I just walk around the corner from where my gym is, there's an Aldi. And I was like, oh, so let me go to this Aldi then, because I've seen my neighbors who I really like, who are like picky kind of, and they're going to this Aldi. And I'm like, let me go ahead and go to this Aldi. And I went in and I was like, it's not bad and the prices are good. And I started getting like, I signed up for all the updates and everything. So yeah. So I'm like, okay, it's not so bad. So I was like, let me see if it's the same type of Aldi. And so I just went into the store and all I did was just scan almost every aisle as much as I could, as unobtrusively as I could. Because technically you're not allowed to like take videos of people. They don't like it when you walk into stores and you're just videoing, because they think maybe you're a competition. I'm not a competition. I'm actually here to help. Um, but I did videos and I would love for everyone to be able to um have a comparison. Hold on, let me just turn off or put the do not disturb on my phone. I would love for everybody to see the cost comparison because what I did was just to make things even more interesting. Hold on, here comes my notifications. Um, it's just going off over and over every time I get messages or whatever. Okay, there we go. So after I did that entire walkthrough of Aldi, and you will find that the prices are going to shock you, the differentials with the shopping, and some of the things I'm going to tell you about shopping for groceries that makes the differential between what's it like to grocery shop in France versus what is it like to grocery shop at the same store in the United States. I then came back and I did a walkthrough of the Aldi in the United States where I live so that you could see for yourself the difference between shopping in France for groceries versus shopping in France for shopping in the United States for groceries. So I think that video is going to be hugely eye-opening if you've not ever seen anything like that. So I'm going to take a little bit of time to do a little bit of a voiceover for that because you need to understand why you're seeing the shelves and why some groceries look the way that they look. Like you're just like, no, that's kind of messy. Or wait, did somebody just steal? And the answer is no. However, like you come back to the United States, you see that same situation. You're like, somebody stole. Okay, um, so I'm going to make sure that that video comes out quickly, and I would like to do that this weekend. So look forward to that video happening where I talk about, you're going to see a specific video that's going to say, you know, something like shopping, grocery shopping, US versus France, or something along those lines. I wasn't doing it to like shame Aldi or anything like that. It's just like, oh, okay, I'm in two different places. I have an opportunity to look at Aldi in the United States and Aldi in France. Both of them are going to save you money, but there's a difference in the prices and how you shop at each of those stores. Okay. So I think it's going to be a good video that's going to help you to kind of like lock in, like, what does it cost to shop in France versus in like United States. So my final impressions, just kind of just to give you an idea of like what I've been thinking, is that um, it's definitely doable. If you want to move to France and have an affordable lifestyle, you can do it. Um, if you want to get away from the crazy, it's like, yes, you can do that. Like when I was in Paris on my last day, there was two things that were happening. One, there were protests, which I never saw. I mean, like there is no inkling that that was going on. So whoever's saying Paris is burning, I mean, like that's actually, I think, the name of a song, but that's not what's happening. Number two, that day, like there's also a theft at the Louvre. I didn't know that was happening. Here I am, like just doing my thing. Okay, that was big, but I still wasn't aware that that was happening. So you actually are insulated from things because it's not the same kind of crazy. Like things are happening, yes, all the time. Yes. But is it affecting your everyday life? Is it affecting your state of mind? No. No. And when I was in Bordeaux all that time, I felt like I was just in a bubble. Like not like ignorance is bliss kind of thing, but it's like you got things to do. I got places to go. I mean, I don't have time for this. I have time for the things that I have to do to get through my day. And and I want to have enjoyment in my day. So, um, so yeah, I thought geez, this is definitely an eye-opening adventure for me. It's a scouting trip. It wasn't a vacation, it was a scouting trip. And so I spent a lot of time walking around, going around, seeing stuff, seeing how things go, getting an idea of the area, the neighborhoods, seeing how easy was it to take public transportation. Clue, it's easy. Do I need a car? Because I was thinking, oh, I'm going to have to figure out how to get my car. I'm going to have to buy a car. We in the United States are dependent on car. We're a car dependent society. And this country was set up for us to be car dependent on purpose, on purpose by the original car manufacturers like Ford and GM and all those people. They did that on purpose because it used to be that everything was done by train, well, buggies, and I guess trains, and then from trains they went straight to cars. And buses, I guess, but ugh. Um, but yeah, you can definitely get by without ever needing a car, I think. I mean, I'm talking about if you're living in the cities. If you live rural, you're going to need some kind of transportation. But there are ways that you can live rural and still be able to get to the things that you need to get to every day, and then, get on trains for other things. Um, and so I didn't go any place that was like rural, but I went to towns that were farther out from um from where I was staying, and I was just like, okay, well, let me see if I could easily make this trip to from Bordeaux to wherever. So I did that. The one thing that I think is going to be the best, or two things more. Number one, I got back. And I said in an earlier video, I was so glad that I had lost the 28 pounds to get on the plane because I struggled to get into my seat. Um, but I did get into the seat, and I struggled to get the seatbelt on, but I did get the seatbelt on. And luckily the middle seats were always blocked out. When I came back, I felt like I had like rolled in Crisco and was like just kind of slid myself into a seat. Was it so hard to get into the seat? Yeah, but it was just kind of like, okay, plop, move. Okay, I'm in. Seatbelt, pull, snap in. And I was just like, okay, that's different. I figured it's because the planes were older. And then when I got home the next morning, I weighed myself. And in that 7 days of walking around and doing whatever, I had lost 6 pounds. And I was just like, I can't believe this. And so here's what I'm thinking, like, and I really had to do a lot of I decided to do a lot of walking, partly because I get to understand the area around me better if I can walk it. And then I can kind of like figure out my landmarks and things like that. It's easier for me then to like then say, okay, at some point I'll be able to get on a bus or a train or whatever. And even if I don't understand the language and like what they're saying, what the stop is, I can at least be like, okay, I know that landmark. I know I have to get off at this point. So I did quite a bit of walking for that reason. But I also did walking because it was just like it was easy, and the town is set up for walking. All the towns, cities, everything seemed to be set up for walking when I needed to, and hopping public transportation when I needed to do more than go farther than I thought. Um, and public transportation was relatively cheap. I mean, really cheap. Um, and then when I did take public transportation, for the most part, I stood. Very seldom did I sit on public transportation. I think like a couple times somebody offered to give me a seat, and I was like, nah, that's okay. You go ahead and sit. And like the other times I just stood. And that was nice. So I was thinking, man, when I moved to like France, because mind you, I ate everything I wanted. Like one of my last days there, I had like this huge thing of ice cream. And I was like, I want the grandest ice cream that you get. I was like, "Well, how many flavors can I get?" They're like, whatever you want. Well, how much do I get? They're like, whatever you want. And so I was like, okay. So I got like everything. It was a gelato place. I love gelato. But I had like crepes and creams and cheeses, and we had a little bit of desserts. I never had a baguette. I never had a croissant. I never had a coffee. I was really shocked. And in fact, let me just get a little thing here of my coffee. Um, but I just didn't hold back on anything. Some of the meal sizes I thought were a little large. And for me, like I was just like, okay, this is large. If I But then I was like, I'll just take it home and have it for breakfast. And so I had a nice Airbnb. Um they had a microwave and I could just warm it up and have it for breakfast. But even then, I was just like, I just didn't feel a lot like I wanted to like just like and eat, because I knew I was going to be doing a lot of walking. So I was very conscious about like just like trying to overeat before I was going to go out and do a long day of walking. And I wasn't walking all day either. It's just, it's just like walking to get to where point A to point B. So I'm like thinking when I get back there, and I'm not going to be walking as much because I'll be like at that point, I will have a place to live and whatever, but I'll still be walking for my daily tasks and everything like that. Can I see myself losing like, several pounds a week? Probably so. There's a guy who was in a video, and I think, I was watching a YouTube video. He and his wife had moved to France, and he was just sitting there. And I guess it was summertime. It was kind of hot. And he was like, "You're going to have to excuse how I look." And he just looked a mess. Like he looked like he's drenched. He looked like he's hot. And then he just looked like his clothes were just like in a state. And I was just like, what is going on? But he said, well, I've lost like 72 kilo so far. And I'm like, he's been out there for like 4 or 5 months. How is he losing so much weight? And he was saying that he's just walking around. So, I mean, I'm just like, okay, something's going on. Now, I don't think it's just going on. What's going on is just that you're walking. I just think that the food actually, I looked at the ingredients of some of the food at Aldi in France, and they definitely have a shorter ingredient list on foods. And so I was just like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that the way that the foods are treated, or like the chemicals and the hormones and all that stuff for that are put in like animals in the United States is not the same thing as Europe. Um, so yeah, my other thing was is that I came back and I had a long discussion with my mother, who's in a nursing home, and she's absolutely miserable. And she has pretty much about 90% agreed that she's going to be coming with me to France. So the deal is that most likely I'm going to go out there. I'm going to set up the house. Um, I'm going to not purchase, sorry, because I don't have the money to purchase. I'm going to be renting. So when I first get there, I'm going to set up an Airbnb for 3 months, and that'll give me enough time to then turn around for probably another that 3 months and maybe an additional 2 months, because based on she's in a wheelchair. We need to have a certain type of house, and I don't want to have an apartment. Of course, a lot of places in France don't have elevators, so you are limited as to like what you could do if you have wheelchair, or if you have mobility issues. And you can get around France if you have mobility issues, I promise you. But you do have to be careful, and you have to know your routes and things like that. And so I was just like, all right, my mom is gonna come. I'm gonna look for a place, and then she's gonna join me. And I was just like, okay. based on how many people you think you would like to come visit, you may have to contribute a little bit towards the rent, but I've capped it at a few $100s because I don't want to be dependent on her, even though she, with her pension and her Social Security, makes more than me. But she is probably going to need it for all her needs, like, for everything. But we worked through the numbers and kind of hashed it out and figured out like how much money she's probably going to have to spend and how much money she will have left over to do things like travel and maybe like pay for one of my sisters or to come visit or something like that. Or if she wants specialty things at the store or whatever. If she wants to have an additional aid that she wants to pay herself, those things. So we kind of worked that out. And so I feel really good because I really didn't feel really good about leaving her behind. And she had said initially that she would come with me and then she changed her mind. And then she's like, okay, I'm going to do it. I don't want to do it. She's going back and forth. But it wasn't until I took the trip and then came back and told her about things and then hashed things out with her that she was like, okay. So I feel really good about that, about her being able to come with me, to join me, and to be on her own adventure. So, maybe we should focus on making a YouTube video for people who are thinking about relocating to Europe, but maybe they're wheelchair bound and they're afraid that by being in a wheelchair, they may not be able to access like certain aspects of Europe. And I'm here to tell you, I think they can. Now we got to figure out the train because the train is weird because you get on a train and they're definite. You can get on and it's flat, but once you get in there, it's like steps going down, and it's like, oh, okay, how do you overcome this if you're in a wheelchair? So, I'm sure that they're going to have some kind of like cars or like trains are going to say, okay, well, we have some trains that are for people who are wheelchair bound. You need to let us know ahead of time so we can help you. Because I definitely know they had some kind of transportation options because they have special when you go to the big train stations, they have special areas where if you're in a wheelchair, they have people that will accompany you from the train lines that will accompany wheelchair bound people. And there's ramps and elevators and whatnot. And there are ramps and elevators anyway. For the most part, there's a lot of stairs, but there are ramps and elevators as well. Because I had a lot of suitcases, there was no way I was going to be able to take them up and downstairs. Not possible. And so I had to get to the elevator every time when I had suitcases. So it can be done. We will figure that out and look forward to Coffee Brown Expat Bound with her wheelchair mother episodes coming up once I do move out there. So I'm gonna just kind of finish this off because I now have to work on my business plan to submit with the visa to see if I can get this like started, to get this party started. So everything, you've got to do the business plan, and I finally found I had to go through a lot to get a French business plan like template because they don't really specify like how the business plan needs to look. And I don't even know if it's going to work, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use it and I'm going to apply and I'll report back as to how that's going to go. But there's a lot that has to be done if you intend to come in and start a business, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the micro entrepreneur type of business designation for my visa. And in order to do that visa, you need to have a business plan submitted with a whole dossier of things that they ask for and documents. So that itself will be a process. And then, of course, the process of getting my dogs and everything and packing everything up and getting my life going out the door, that's going to be a whole nother episode as well. So stay tuned for that. All right. So on that note, I'm going to get going because I still want to make the Turkish Airlines video, and I will probably do that next and upload that right behind this. So look forward to the adventures of Coffee Brown Expat Bound on Turkish Air and why I will probably never take that airline again. It wasn't like something where I was just like, oh my gosh, the sky is falling and the plane is in it and it's also falling. It was just disappointing and it was just like, ugh, the whole time. So no, I just once I've done that, I'm like, okay, I'm done. I won't take like United again. I'm not going to take American Airlines again. I'm adding Turkish Airlines to the mix. I'm not going to take them again. And I don't generally like Southwest in general, so I'm not going to take Southwest ever again. So I'm just adding them to the list of never agains. So on that note, I'm going to get going again. This is Coffee Brown, Expat Bound. And I still say woman on the run because I am on the run to get out of here. Please, again, like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell below, and every time I upload a video, you'll get that notification. And, why don't you give me a comment and just tell me what you think about the upcoming videos that I want to do, which is basically finishing off and talking about my days. Like, do you think it's going to be easy to lose the weight if you are somebody that's like struggling like me with making sure the weight comes off? I mean, I'm now down 35 pounds since I first started 155 days ago with my weight loss plan. And so I'm very happy about that. Although I think it's probably going to be another 50 before I feel like I've seen a change in me. I don't physically see it. Um, are you looking forward to that shopping video? Have you been to France before and shopped at Aldi? And if so, what did you think? I'm interested in that. All right. And help out anybody that where if you have been to France, you've had those experiences. Like, what are your experiences? Please share those in the comments as well. All right. So for now, I'm going to say au revoir and I will see you soon. Bye.